The number is high, no doubt, but I think we were anticipating that it is going to continue to be high in the next short while, hopefully only.
COVID-19 cases continue to spike in Windsor, Essex, another record day. The health unit says you should expect numbers to remain high.
She called me and told me that she loved me and that she take care of everybody because she knows that's who I've always been.
A family in mourning, a mother, a father dead after testing positive for COVID-19. 2 of the now 105 people that have died in Windsor, Essex. A flood watch in place for parts of the Lake Erie shoreline, including Pelee Island tonight. Rain today, but a chance it turns to snow tomorrow. Nick Sternkovich breaks down all of the odds tonight. I'm Chris Ensing. Thanks for joining us. Once again, Windsor, Essex has hit the highest number of daily cases since the start of the pandemic. 250 COVID-19 cases announced this morning. That's more than 1,300 active cases in Windsor, Essex today, the highest in Ontario based on population. And the number of people dying from COVID-19 is rising. At the start of the month, 80 people had died from COVID-19 in Windsor, Essex since March. But take a look at how quickly that number is rising. 25 people have died since December 1st. Today, 3 more people have died after testing positive. The health unit says it was a woman who was at a long-term care home. She was in her 90s. Another woman has also died, and a man in his 40s, bringing our total to 105. Now we turn to a family's unimaginable grief. A Windsor woman and her sisters mourning the loss of both parents. They died days apart, both contracting COVID-19. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva has their story.
They're very caring and kind, very loving.
Julie Reeves Robinson is at a loss. Her parents, Linda and Richard, are gone, taken by the virus. She's left to make sense of her grief while trying to recover from COVID herself. Both in their 70s, COVID scared her parents. They didn't go anywhere. Julie and her daughter lived with them, and she did the groceries. But a month ago, they found out Richard had cancer and needed surgery. He went to hospital, and not long after returning home, he started to feel sick and had a cough.
He wouldn't eat. He was just unwell, very unwell.
He eventually went back to the hospital, testing positive for the virus. Meanwhile, Julie's mom, who was dealing with other health problems, was also taken to hospital shortly after and also tested positive.
She called me telling me how afraid she was of dying. And I said, Mom, your lungs are failing and your heart's failing, and you do have COPD pretty bad, and there is a chance you might not make it, but you need to be strong. And I was trying to get her prepared.
The family did a Zoom call with Linda to say their goodbyes. She died shortly after they hung up on the 18th of December. Julie and her sisters didn't tell their father about Linda to give him a fighting chance at survival. But 2 days later,
we did a Zoom call with my dad. We were telling him how much we loved him. We told my dad that it's okay to go, that my mom's on the other side.
He died during the call. Julie believes her father caught the virus while at the hospital for his surgery.
And he was afraid to come home with it, and he came home with it, and he killed himself, and he killed his wife. And now I have it, and my daughter has it.
Her daughter is recovering at her dad's house, so Julie is recovering alone in the house she shared with her parents, knowing they won't be coming home. Alone for her birthday, alone for Christmas. Her neighbors are trying to help however they can. One created an online fundraiser for Julie.
They were the sweetest neighbors ever. They're so kind. They have great hearts. They seem like a close-knit family across the street. They have always been there for each other.
My dad always wanted those hugs and loved us unconditionally, all of us. They loved their grandchildren, great-grandchildren. They always appreciated everything that I did because I would cook dinners and I'd always get a thank you.
The reality of it all is still too much to grasp. Julie says it hasn't fully hit her yet. It's a reminder that COVID is painfully real.
Keep your older ones at home and go grocery shopping for them. Make sure that they have everything that they need. Call them. It's hard on them, especially if they live alone. Family is most important. You need to be there for them.
Katerina Georgieva, CBC News, Windsor.
Community is also in mourning for another person who's died of COVID-19, Evelyn McLean. Windsor's mayor tweeting about her today, saying that McLean was a dedicated public servant who committed herself to preserving our local heritage sites. She was a dean and lecturer at the University of Windsor, the first heritage planner for the city of Windsor, and a founder of the Friends of the Court at Mackenzie Hall, the place her friends say she was dedicated to. Now they describe her as a loyal, independent, determined, and creative person.
As a friend, she treasured the contacts that we were, but she was content to live alone and act alone, and she did that very successfully.
Artistic, indomitable. When she came up with a good idea, she followed it through until it was a fact, like saving Mackenzie Hall.
She took pictures all over the city of historic buildings, but especially she focused on the old Essex County Courthouse in Sandwich, and she went to City Hall every week for a long time and said, "You cannot destroy this building. It is historic and it must be saved." Eventually the city gave, actually they bought the building from the province and gave the responsibility of it to Evelyn McLean and the friends she had collected around her to help with this, called the Friends of the Court. And there are things in Mackenzie Hall that bear her stamp. And she continued planning right up until the time when she could no longer do that, which was only about a year ago. I'm going to miss her magnificent ideas. In fact, we have missed them for the past year. We are doing things for Mackenzie Hall on a smaller scale. We don't have the breadth of imagination that Evelyn had.
True community builder. Getting your test results in Windsor, Essex takes longer than most other regions in Ontario. According to provincial numbers, a little more than half the people in Windsor, Essex can get their results in 2 days. But that might change come January.
Machines are here. I've had an initial conversation with them. They are right now in the process of calibration and ensuring that everything is working fine.
Medical Laboratories of Windsor got the green light in October to process the COVID-19 swabs. Even then, they knew it would take time for the machine to get here and be operatable. Ahmed says hopefully 2021 will be a better year for us in every possible way. Erie Shores Healthcare is preparing teams to go into local COVID-19 hotspots. They did this during the summer at farms, swabbing workers, doing health assessments, and now they're adding more teams with other partners, and they'll head into long-term care homes, other congregate living centers. I spoke with CEO Kristen Kennedy about the expansion. Here's part of my interview where she describes what it's like to be part of a team. You've been in a home to do that assessment part of this. What was that like for you?
I have. It's concerning and it's challenging and it's hard for all of our staff to be in those homes and see our vulnerable populations suffering. We're very confident in the individuals that are working in those homes. We know that they just need some extra added support during these challenging times, and we really have stepped up to help with that.
What were some of the moments there when you talk about outreach? Can you just, I guess, describe what that day would have been like, or that moment when you were inside of the home doing this kind of work?
So we usually go in and we round on all of the individual patients and do health assessments. Our nurse practitioner or our physician will go on site. Our chief of staff has been into some of the homes to assist our staff as well. And we do a full health assessment. We look and see, are there any vulnerable touch points that we can help with, any resourcing, staffing, as well as diverting to the emergency room, possibly for an admission. How can we help with PPE, IPAC practices? And it is isolating for some of these individuals that are in their homes right now without visitors. It is sad to see, but we know that we're doing the best thing we can to help keep our patients safe in the communities that we're serving.
And Windsor Essex rolled out the COVID-19 vaccine yesterday. Some cross-border healthcare workers living in this region have already gotten their vaccinations.
Maybe a little tinge of guilt, but very, very happy that I was able to get it and keep my patients and family safe, because I just feel like it's one step closer to getting back to some form of our normal lives. This year has been terrible in so many ways for so many people.
Now, that guilt she mentioned comes from being able to get it earlier than those who live and work here. The hospital that she works at is operated by Detroit Medical Center. The company tells us an employee's place of residence has no bearing on who gets the vaccine first. Henry Ford Health System told us the same, adding that it's got about 950 employees who crossed the border from Canada. Now, Iwabi says all current safety measures, like not stopping anywhere between home and work, have not changed despite her vaccination. Health Canada today authorized another COVID-19 vaccine, this one produced by Moderna. It's good news for all Canadians, but especially for those who live in remote areas. Olivia Stevanovic explains.
Now that Health Canada has approved the Moderna vaccine, we have the green light to start rolling it out across the country.
An extra layer of assurance at the end of a year marked by uncertainty.
We now see the end in sight, with vaccines coming and vaccines being there for the most vulnerable, and increasingly over the coming months for all Canadians.
Thousands of doses of the Moderna vaccine are expected to arrive by Christmas Day, destined for remote, rural, and northern communities.
This is excellent news.
Moderna's vaccine can be transported more easily than Pfizer-BioNTech's, which has to be stored in extreme temperatures, making Moderna's more suitable for the far north.
The underlying risk that we have for respiratory illness is much greater because of the lack of infrastructure, whether it be healthcare infrastructure or housing, the inability to care for anybody who does get seriously ill from COVID-19.
Health Canada says the vaccine was found to be almost 95% effective after 2 doses. But there are questions about how it will respond to new strains of the virus.
While we continue our studies, the data we have so far really indicate that the Moderna vaccine will likely be effective and efficient against this new UK variant of the coronavirus. So we don't have concerns at this point.
Along with Moderna, an additional 250,000 doses of Pfizer are expected next month. But neither vaccine is approved for use in children, meaning families will have to wait for another approval before rolling up their sleeves. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
There's been an unprecedented demand for home deliveries this holiday season, spurred by the pandemic, and not every parcel delivery service was prepared to handle that huge surge, including Canada Post. But as Ashley Burke explains, COVID-19 may have undercut its original business model. It's also showed it a new one.
It's the busiest time of the year for Canada Post, and because of the pandemic, the Crown Corporation says the number of parcels is staggering.
As we've moved into peak season, it started earlier and it has continued, it has not relented, and will be going gangbusters right until Christmas.
But still, Canada Post is losing money due to high costs for personal protective equipment and the huge drop in the amount of traditional letter mail. But there is a silver lining.
Parcels is and delivering things to home has been just a huge North Star, because that's where we need to be.
Canada Post says COVID-19 has acted like a time machine. Its parcel projections leapfrog 3 years into the future, with a 35% jump in revenue in the second quarter alone. But it wasn't ready for it.
We need to have the capacity to deliver all of that, to process everything, because we've been up, scratching our head on the ceiling in terms of the amount of capacity, just because things have grown so rapidly.
It just won't be that easy for Canada Post to pivot.
This business professor says when Canada Post does adapt, it doesn't mean it will be profitable.
Canada Post does have a high cost structure vis-a-vis its competitors. So in addition to its labor costs, there is quite a lot of investment that has made in the past few years related to technology, being able to manage parcels, customer service, as well as the time necessary in order to then deliver these parcels.
And it's up against growing competition from giants like Amazon to smaller delivery services, even bike couriers with much thinner margins. Canada Post says it will deliver soon on its plan to shift focus. It will be investing in more parcel storage and processing capacity in the new year. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now that holiday rush, hard to find here in Windsor, Essex. We sent Jacob Barker out to ask how people are feeling on this quiet Christmas.
I know, there's no cars, it's empty. It's so crazy. You're used to seeing it packed from coming off the expressway. The mall is actually like really not busy. It's busy out here in curbside pickups. We're actually very busy. It definitely changes the Christmas morale and how we feel about Christmas. Like I can definitely say that I'm not as excited about Christmas this year.
Kind of sad. I mean, typically around this time you have like just a lot of chaos going on, and right now it's quiet. It's definitely not what we're used to.
A lot of people trying to do their best under the circumstances, right? You walk down here, you see a lot of people washing their windows, sweeping their storefronts, you know. They're trying to do their best considering the COVID restrictions and everything. So it's everyone just trying to fight to stay in business. I would too, I don't blame them, right?
Definitely not as hectic as last year. It's a little bit more calmer with having the doors closed and stuff like that. But it's more important for us anyways that our customers and our staff remain healthy and safe. So not really too concerned about how things are business-wise. It's more about making sure the city stays safe.
I find it unfair. I can walk into a big box store and get anything I want, but I have to basically call ahead just to walk into my favorite local store.
How do you feel that businesses are reacting to all this?
I feel they're doing the best they can. All they can really do is roll with the punches, you know?
Shopping aside, do you think that sort of excitement is there or is it not there?
Oh, I think it's still there. It's Christmas. You can't take away the feeling. Pandemic or not.
Just can't quit the holiday season. Another live look outside here, a rainy one today. Could snow come for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day? We'll ask Nick Sirkovich next. But first, a local family found a way to keep that Christmas spirit alive from separate homes. Jeff Wilkinson sent in this video that his son put together of them playing a holiday classic. Now, for some, Christmas time means caroling, but this year it's got to go virtual. That there's a Canadian Christmas. Suresh Singaratnam recruited more than 170 people from across the country to help make the music video, including 30 members of the Hamilton Children's Choir and CBC's own Adrian Harewood. He says he wants to lift spirits after a tough year, as well as highlight some amazing and diverse Canadian talent. As we bring in Nick Sirkovich here, not going to ask you to sing it all because you might throw that back at me here. The forecast, though. We got anything to sing about in there?
What's I sing about? Well, sing the blues? I don't know.
Sing the blues.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. I feel like you're going camping in the next couple days because the weather's turning sour. It always seems to work that way. It turns out we've actually got a pretty big winter storm headed our way, but Windsor might actually be in the clear for the most part. So we're going to get through that. Warm night tonight, by the way. But a winter storm is headed our way. Let's time it all out for you. We'll talk temperatures first. 9 degrees right now in Windsor. It's going to stay 9 degrees through the overnight tonight. So mild weather. Got some showers, though. A bit of a rainy day today. More in the way of showers coming, though. So that's kind of the first round of this. You look back at the bigger picture. We've got this push of moisture that's coming in from the south. So more in the way of rainfall. And then in behind it, snow gets dragged in. But how much we see in the Windsor area kind of depends on where you are. Let's time it out here. So going through tonight, again, more in the way of rainfall there. Then as I head through tomorrow morning, basically that's where the front passes through the Windsor area. So the rain showers and the heavier rain pushing east. And then in here, we'll probably see a few light flurries or maybe some light snowfall there. Kind of clears out to some flurries tomorrow for the most part. And then Thursday night, as that trowel kind of comes around on the backside of this low, we could drag in and see locally about 2 to 5 centimeters of snowfall with this. But again, I say locally because you see it's sort of banded here. The more organized snowfall is going to be further east around the Golden Horseshoe. In terms of rainfall accumulations, again, this not showing a whole ton of rainfall down in the Windsor area. We're going to see more than 1 millimeter, but probably in the neighborhood of about 10 or so. Most of the snowfall also pushing to the east as well. So it looks like Windsor, for the most part, is more or less in the clear from this storm. There's a look at temperatures for tonight as we head through tomorrow. Again, tomorrow night, blowing snow. Temperatures dropping to about -1 in the afternoon. So it's 5 and then falling through the day to -1 in the afternoon. I got 2 to 5 centimeters in there for Friday. That's me being optimistic for Windsor for the White Christmas. I think we're going to see some. I just don't know that locally we're going to see that 2, which makes it officially a White Christmas.
Officially a White Christmas.
Yeah.
Blowing
there
snow,
is
though,
actually an official term for or criteria for it.
Hey, we're all about those stats. Need to make sure that we got the right call there.
Yeah.
Thanks for this, Nick.
You bet.
Coming up, we take a look at a restaurant that found a way to pivot. You'll never guess. They did something online. Now, like most restaurant owners across the country, Michelle Lee struggled when the pandemic hit Toronto and forced local dining rooms to close during the lockdown. But she found a cool way to keep interest in Korean food alive. You're going to love this. Kel De-yoon has more.
The pandemic may have slowed down things a bit, but inside this kitchen, the work hasn't stopped.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I am Kimchi Korea House restaurant owner.
For my mom, like the restaurant is her life. Like, you know, like she said, she's here 7 days a week, open to close.
It's been that way for Michelle Lee ever since she opened the restaurant back in 2012. Then this past March,
It suddenly locked down and I was a little scared.
her daughter Diana quickly helped to set up the restaurant on all the food delivery apps. Then she had another idea.
You just would drop one. Ooh, it's ready.
I thought it might be a good and fun distraction to start filming some tutorials with her.
But she really pushing me.
Diana posted the videos on social media and they took off.
Medium heat with about 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
The restaurant's Instagram has now grown to more than 5,000 followers, people loving Mama Lee's tutorials of classic Korean dishes.
Kimchi pancake, seafood pancake. And also number one is kimchi. I like a red color.
When we film, it's usually just the two of us in the kitchen. Is really just like a mom talking to her daughter, teaching her how to cook. And I think that feeling really comes across.
So a lot of customers, I never saw it. They come and they saw me. Are you Mama Lee?
The restaurant is doing better during this second wave, but the videos were never just about getting more business.
And I really wanted to convey to people how much work that it takes for my mom to make each and every single dish at the restaurant. And it's really just a labor of love.
Tonight, I'm gonna show you how to make a japchae.
It's brought the two of us closer together, and I think a lot of times I took my mom's cooking for granted, thinking I would never have to learn how to make it, or, you know, she's always going to be around, so I don't need to learn how to make it. So that's what this experience has really brought for me, is more in touch with the Korean side of my heritage.
Thank you for watching.
Kel De-yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Gotta love it. That's it for us here at CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for more on any of these stories, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.